Recently, we discovered fossils of the ancient winged terror from Mongolia, a colossal pterosaur with a massive wingspan of 32 feet. This creature was the size of a small aircraft, towering as tall as a large bull giraffe when standing on the ground. There's even a chance that this was the largest flying animal to ever exist. It lived around 70 million years ago in a warm, dry habitat filled with dinosaurs. This predator was stalking its prey on the ground. Baby dinosaurs might have been its favorite meal. We don't have a name for this Mongolian fossil yet, but it's a groundbreaking discovery as the first pterosaur of its size found in this part of the world. And it wasn't the only terrifying pterosaur. 70 million years ago, the Earth looked very different from today. Imagine a world where the continents weren't in their current positions, but instead were grouped together in different ways. There was no Atlantic Ocean yet, it was just forming. Soon, South America is going to split apart from Africa, and India will become its own separate island. It was the final days of the Mesozoic era. This period was divided into Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods. The land was covered with shallow oceans and seas with a lot of islands across North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Parts of what is now the United States were underwater, between the Rocky Mountains and the Appalachians and Ozarks. If we were to look specifically at Virginia during this time, we would find it submerged under a shallow sea, part of the early Atlantic Ocean. The climate was surprisingly mild. The oceans and the planet in general were warmer and ice-free at the poles. First, flowering plants started to appear, which was great news for insects like ants, bees, and butterflies. And of course, it was a time when huge animals, including our favorite dinosaurs, roamed the land, ruled the seas, and dominated the skies. But it wasn't just dinosaurs. Many new species of animals were appearing. Among them was the giant Quetzalcoatlus. Imagine a massive, flying reptile with wings as wide as a fighter jet. It was named after an Aztec deity, but let's call it Quetz for short. Quetz lived alongside dinosaurs, but were not dinosaurs themselves. It belonged to a family of majestic flying creatures, Azadricidae. These amazing beasts were named after a dragon in Uzbek mythology. It's not hard to see why. Living in the late Cretaceous period, around 85 to 65 million years ago, Quetz and its kin ruled the skies. They had little competition from non-flying dinosaurs and fewer birds than we see today. They had special adaptations to stay light for flight, with bones filled with hollows and pits to reduce weight. And they weren't just airborne, they were skilled walkers too. They were strutting around like storks on the ground. But there was another, lesser-known giant called Hatzegopteryx. Let's call it Hatz. This beast was discovered in Romania in the 70s. It's a hidden gem compared to the more famous Quetz. Most of them had wingspans over 40 feet. That's as big as a school bus. To give you an idea, today's largest flying animal, the wandering albatross, only has a 12 feet wingspan. Hatz called Hatag Island home. This place was like a paradise for these pterosaurs, rich in forests, rivers, and diverse wildlife, including dwarf dinosaurs. With few predators and plenty of resources, Hatz grew to immense proportions. It had a powerful jaw, a strong neck, and a sturdy body, making it a formidable predator. It might have even gone after dinosaurs. Surprisingly, despite its hefty build, Hatz could fly. Maybe not long distances, but likely used its wings to explore the island. Movies often make dinosaurs seem scarier than they were in real life, but one dinosaur was actually more terrifying in reality than on screen. One of them was Dilophosaurus. You might remember it as a small venom-spitting dinosaur that played a minor role in Jurassic Park, but in reality, it was known as one of the kings of the Jurassic era. It lived about 180 million years ago, a bit earlier than the pterosaurs were mentioned. It faced tough conditions, with extreme seasons and large deserts. The first fossils of this monster were found in the 40s in northern Arizona, but they were mixed up with another dinosaur called Megalosaurus. Years later, a new fossil was found in the same area, and it had something special: 2 crests on its head. This meant it wasn't a megalosaurus after all, so it got a new name, Dilophosaurus, meaning two-crested lizard. Contrary to what Jurassic Park showed, the real Dilophosaurus didn't have a frill around its neck. Instead, it had 2 big crests on its head, probably used for showing off or finding mates. This Dilophosaurus wasn't small. It wasn't as big as some later dinosaurs, but still huge, about the size of a large car. It weighed around 880 pounds, similar to a brown bear. It was the biggest land animal in North America during its time. Dilophosaurus was fierce. Its jaws were full of sharp teeth, perfect for hunting, either fish or land animals. It likely preyed on large animals, including other dinosaurs. Its arms were strong and had sharp claws, making it the top predator of its time, ruling over the entire North America. Late Jurassic North America was a tough place to live in general, especially in the western United States. The dry seasons were harsh, and only the biggest dinosaurs could survive there. It was like a land of giants. But size wasn't the only thing that mattered. There were smaller dinosaurs that could hold their own. One of them is Ceratosaurus. It made a huge fuss when it was discovered in 1883. While fossils of this nature are hard to find, its unique features make it easy to recognize. Plus, the fossils were almost complete, which helped us to describe them quickly. It had a face that could scare anyone. Rows of sharp teeth, bony bumps over its eyes, and its most iconic feature, a horn on the nose, which was probably used for display or fighting. This horn earned Ceratosaurus its name. Our early reconstructions were wrong about its size and posture, though. Ceratosaurus was a medium-sized predator, but some individuals could grow up to 20 feet long and weigh over 2,000 pounds, like a hefty bison. Despite its smaller size compared to other dinosaurs, it didn't lag behind. It had strong legs for running and small but grasping arms. Ceratosaurus likely hunted a variety of prey, including other dinosaurs and possibly fish and smaller animals near water sources. Sadly, the reign of these majestic creatures came to an abrupt end around 66 million years ago. For a long time, we believed it was because of an asteroid impact. But our new computer simulations show that the main culprit might have been volcanoes. Volcanic eruptions spewed gas-filled lava for about 1 million years. This gradually caused the changes in temperature and carbon levels in Earth's atmosphere. The Earth became darker and more toxic. Surprisingly, the asteroid strike that formed the Chicxulub crater in Mexico might not have released as much gas as previously thought. Of course, it still had other devastating effects. It kicked up clouds of dust that dimmed sunlight and caused a rapid drop in temperature. It also caused a massive tsunami and made the climate situation worse. However, there's a chance that the extinction itself happened because of the volcanoes and the asteroid was just hammering a nail, although it's not fully confirmed yet. Whatever the reason was, the Cretaceous period ended and these incredible beings disappeared from Earth forever. 80% of the world's plants and animals were gone forever, not individuals, but entire species. Since the extinction of pterosaurs, the largest flying animals have been much smaller, so there's a chance that we're missing a link in our fossil records. Maybe one day we'll find it and reshape our understanding of bird evolution.
Today, I'm going to tell you about creatures that had unique features which allowed them to grow to incredible sizes. They were some of the most impressive animals to have ever existed on our planet. The Argentinosaurus is a genus of sauropod dinosaurs that lived approximately 97 million years ago in what is now South America. Scientists think it was one of the largest land animals ever, with a length of up to 100 feet and a weight of up to 100 tons. A farmer stumbled upon a giant leg bone while tending his cattle. That's how he discovered the first fossils of the Argentinosaurus in Argentina in 1987. Further excavations uncovered more bones, revealing a massive dinosaur that would have dwarfed most other animals of its time. The Spinosaurus, meaning spine lizard, is a genus of theropod dinosaur that lived around 97 million years ago in what is now North Africa. It is believed to be one of the largest carnivorous dinosaurs to ever exist, with a length of up to 60 feet and a weight of up to 23 tons. The Spinosaurus is known for its distinctive elongated sail-like structure on its back. It was likely used for thermoregulation. It also had long crocodile-like jaws that were lined with sharp teeth. This allowed the creature to catch and eat large prey, such as fish, crocodiles, and other dinosaurs. The first fossils of the Spinosaurus were discovered in Egypt in 1912. The sperm whale, Physeter macrocephalus, is a species of toothed whale that is the largest toothed predator on Earth. It also has the largest brain of any animal species. It is found in oceans all over the world and can dive to depths of up to 7,000 feet in search of food. You can easily recognize sperm whales by their massive, block-shaped heads, which can measure up to 1/3 of their total body length. They have dark brown or grayish-blue skin and a distinctive wrinkled appearance. The Titanoboa is an extinct genus of a giant snake that lived approximately 58 million years ago. It is considered to be the largest known snake ever. It could grow up to 42 feet and weighed around 2,500 pounds. The first fossils of the Titanoboa were discovered in a coal mine in Colombia in 2004. This discovery meant a lot because it provided insights into the size and behavior of snakes during the Paleocene era, as well as the overall climate and ecosystem of the time. The blue whale, Balænoptera musculus, is the largest animal on Earth, measuring up to 100 feet in length and weighing as much as 200 tons. These marine mammals are found in oceans all over the world and can live up to 90 years. Blue whales have a long, streamlined body that is usually blue-gray in color with mottled patterns. They have a small dorsal fin and 2 pectoral fins that are about 1/3 the length of their body. Blue whales feed on tiny shrimp-like creatures called krill, and they eat a lot. A single adult blue whale can eat up to 8,000 pounds of krill in a day. The Leadsichthus is an extinct genus of large, bony fish that lived during the Jurassic period, approximately 155 million years ago. It is believed to be one of the largest fish that have ever lived. Some estimates suggest that it could grow up to 55 feet in length. The first fossils of Leadsichthus were discovered in England in the 19th century, and more recent discoveries have been made in other parts of Europe, South America, and Africa. Despite its enormous size, the Leadsichthus was a filter feeder, similar to modern-day whale sharks, and likely fed on plankton and other small organisms. The creature did it by simply swimming with its enormous mouth open, filtering water through its gills. The pterodostro is an extinct species of flamingo-like birds that lived approximately 35 million years ago. They were relatively small birds with a wingspan of about 2-3 feet. And they were known for their distinctive long, narrow beaks equipped with comb-like structures used for filter feeding. The pterodostro lived in shallow bodies of water, like lakes and lagoons, and mostly fed on small crustaceans and other tiny organisms. The animal filtered them from the water using the comb-like structures on the inside of its beak while swimming through the water. The African elephant is the largest land animal on Earth, and one of the most recognizable ones. There are 2 species of the African elephant, the savanna elephant, Loxodonta africana, and the forest elephant, Loxodonta cyclotis. You can see them in various parts of sub-Saharan Africa. These creatures can be identified by their large size, gray skin, and long trunks. African elephants can grow up to 13 feet tall and weigh up to 14,000 pounds, depending on the species and gender.
These weird-looking blobs are not just some random jelly balls in the ocean. Those are some of the biggest organisms with just one cell you'll find on Earth. And they pop if you squeeze them. We're looking at a specific type of algae that can be as small as a pinhead and as big as an eyeball. Or better yet, sailor's eyeball, as they're usually called. How large it's going to be depends on what's in its vacuole, which is the space inside of its cell wall. This organism is made of just one cell, but it can have more than one nucleus. It's like it has many control centers in just one cell. This happens because these organisms are soenocytic, which means they're made up of a bunch of nuclei that don't have walls that would separate them. These are not some mythical creatures hidden at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Divers around the world who like to explore coral reefs can stumble upon them. These algae come in different colors, such as black, bright green, or silvery. Their color depends on how their cell walls are set. In some cases, researchers stumbled upon a shiny orb on the seafloor that looked like a golden egg. The interesting thing is that the egg had a hole in it. So the question was if something had tried to get out or into this orb. Hopefully, it was just a jelly blob minding its own business. Normally, cells don't grow this big. It would mess up their balance. If something's too big, the ratio of surface area to volume won't be optimal anymore. But sailors' eyeballs have their own trick to end up this large. There are different parts inside them, and each has its own chloroplasts and nucleus. If you were to pop one of these jelly blobs, it wouldn't just burst like a balloon. Instead, it would probably pop up because they only need one nucleus for a whole new eyeball to grow. All this means is it would be hard to have them in aquariums, but they can at least live peacefully in the ocean, hoping no one will pop them. Now the question is, if a one-cell thing can grow to be this big, how large can real living beings get? The biggest animal that has ever walked on our planet was probably a dinosaur called Argentinosaurus, a giant that lived around 90 million years ago. We can compare it to the heaviest land creature we have today, the African elephant. It weighs less than 7 tons. Gigantic for us, it would look like a bug next to the Argentinosaurus, which weighed around 77 tons. They both look small next to the blue whale though, with a weight of 165 tons. That's probably the heaviest animal that has ever lived on Earth. In theory, and according to the laws of physics, creatures that live on land can gain up to 120 tons. There's a mathematical principle that explains why animals can't grow indefinitely. It says the ratio of 2 volumes is greater than the ratio of their surfaces. It means that as some creature gets bigger, not all of its parts get bigger at the same rate. If the elephant gets 3 times as wide, tall, and long, its overall size will also increase. But its mass will increase way more than that. It means the volume will grow faster than the surface of the animal's body. That's why bigger animals need much larger limbs to support their weight. The problem is that limbs probably won't be strong enough to carry such an enormous weight. The only way our imaginary giant elephant could move such a heavy body is by having extremely big and thick legs, just to walk, let alone do other things. Physics is not the only element that sets size limits. Otherwise, we'd have to be very careful not to end up under giant, wide feet of 100-ton animals wandering around. Another important thing is whether there's enough food for them, because these giants certainly need a lot of it. It's not just quantity, of course. Creatures can only grow bigger when they live in productive environments with high-quality foods rich in nutrients. That probably explains why certain reptiles, such as titanosaurs, grew way bigger than, for example, the biggest mammals that roamed terrestrial areas. Warm-blooded mammals have faster metabolisms. That means they need around 10 times more food to support their body sizes than reptiles do. Reptiles not only have slower metabolisms, but they also have lower body temperatures, so they can eat less and still feel satisfied. And they'll grow big anyway, since they don't burn their calories that quickly. No wonder that the biggest dinosaurs that walked on land were 10 times larger than the biggest mammals. Now, blue whales are kinda exceptions to all these rules. They're warm-blooded mammals, but when you live in the ocean, being a giant is not a big problem. It's easier to be very large in the water because it takes away lots of stress and pressure from your bones and muscles. And that's something land animals can't avoid. That way, blue whales can swim around and look for food the whole day. They can just casually open their mouth and let zooplankton come in. So yeah, our planet has proven it can handle mega creatures because, for hundreds of millions of years, some of them walked on land, not just swam in the ocean. But in the last 20,000 years, most of them have vanished. big land mammals such as rhinos and elephants exist only in some parts of the world, and their numbers are getting lower. There are fewer whales than before, and for these or some other giant animals to evolve that big again, humans would have to step back. We may not have gigantic dinosaurs, but some of the creatures living in today's world are still surprisingly and dangerously big, like the saltwater crocodile, the biggest reptile in the world. A male can grow up to 23 feet and weigh about 2,200 pounds. That's not the only scary thing about them. They have the second most powerful bite on the planet, right behind that of the Nile crocodile. The title of the largest bird on Earth belongs to the ostrich. It has wings, but they're too short for flying. The animal holds them outstretched when it runs, and this way it stays balanced more easily. Plus, their body is too big for flying anyway. That's why evolution had to give them some other advantage, like being able to run very fast. Don't make an ostrich upset unless you can run faster than 40 miles per hour in short sprints or at least 30 miles per hour over longer distances. In just one stride, this bird can cover up to 16 feet, which is how long a mid-sized family car is. Don't underestimate these fellas just because they're birds. They have very strong legs they use for self-defense. They can kick with a force that would take down even a lion. You wouldn't expect turtles to grow this big and to look so mean, but somehow, alligator snapping turtles still manage to surprise us. With jaws that look like beaks, spiked shells, and thick, scaled tails, they really look like the dinosaur of the turtle world, or the main enemy from Super Mario games. They love to spend their time in lakes, rivers, and canals of the southeastern United States and live for up to 100 years. They have chemosensory organs in their necks, which means they can smell using their throats. That helps a lot because their eyes aren't much of use in the murky waters where they live. Instead, they just draw water into their throat in a specific method we call gular pumping, to get samples of the water around them they want to smell.
You're walking through the tropical Amazon rainforest. All of a sudden, you spot the green anaconda coming right at you. The snake lunges faster than you can react. Soon enough, its thick body is coiling around you. The force feels like an elephant sitting on your chest. The anaconda is a constrictor. It wraps its body around an animal and keeps squeezing until it doesn't feel a heartbeat anymore. Gulp! Usually, animals don't survive the snake's hug. But let's assume you're in a tough, oxygenated protective suit and manage to remain intact. The reptile's lower and upper jaws are held together with stretchy ligaments. This allows the snake to open its mouth more than 160 degrees. In humans, this angle is 40 degrees tops. That's why the anaconda can move its mouth over something that's much bigger than its head. Like you, right now. The snake starts walking its jaws around and over your body, trying to move you down its esophagus, the tube that connects its mouth and stomach. Luckily, the anaconda only has fangs for holding its prey, not biting, and these fangs don't contain venom. Still, the view in front of your eyes is terrifying. The top jaw is decorated with 4 rows of backward-pointing teeth. This tooth shape prevents animals from squeezing out of the reptile's mouth. And it sure is wet in here. Anacondas produce loads of saliva. They can't chew their food, and swallowing it is a much trickier process than in many other animals. Inside the snake's mouth, there are several glands that make saliva to moisten their lunch. You. The next thing you feel is something squeezing around you. The anaconda has 2 stages of swallowing. First, its muscles squeeze together and force the food down the reptile's body. After that, the anaconda moves and bends its body and spine so that the ribs push against the animal inside it. This pressure makes the food smaller. If you were able to see the whole swallowing process, it would look as if the snake's crawling its body over you. You feel uncomfortable. It's too hot. You can't move a limb, and your body is being constantly bent. The reptile is moving you into its stomach. You have no neighbors. The anaconda can only eat one thing at a time. If you could see from the outside, you'd notice its stomach is massively swollen. It also has a distinct human-shaped form. It's because the snake lacks a breastbone. Its ribs are free-moving and can spread apart. After you're safely tucked inside the snake, you feel the reptile move. It's looking for a safe place to digest you. Anacondas, like all snakes, are cold-blooded. They need a warm place to speed up their metabolism. A cold snake will have a big problem with digestion. The anaconda's stomach produces powerful acids and enzymes that dissolve first the softest and then the toughest stuff. Your hair and nails would be the last to get completely digested. If you didn't have this awesome suit protecting you, it wouldn't take long for the snake to digest you. You'd become liquid. All the nutrients in you would power the snake's cells, and the rest would make itself out the exit in about a month. And now, the good news. The anaconda wouldn't want to eat you in the first place. You're simply too large and not worth the risk. This process would make the snake slow, clumsy, and vulnerable. After seeing you, the snake's likely to get scared and flee, or give you a good squeeze to protect itself. So best keep your distance in the future. Now the question is, how to get out of here? The animal kingdom is filled with impressive horns and tusks. They vary a lot in size and shape, but some stand out for just how huge they are. The longest horns of any living animal belong to the Asian water buffalo of India, Nepal, and Thailand. Males carry enormous backward crescent-shaped horns that are embellished with deep ridges. They grow to an average length of close to 5 feet long, and sometimes grow so large that they almost touch. In 1955, researchers found a bull that took it one step further. These particular horns measured nearly 14 feet from tip to tip, so large that they even got the blue ribbon from the Guinness World Records. Wild water buffalo are formidable mammals that use their horns to protect themselves. They're not even afraid to face off with tigers and lions. Being so large, you wouldn't think they'd be fast too. But when frightened, water buffalo can reach speeds of 30 miles per hour. Addax are white antelopes that decided to call the Sahara Desert their home. Over time, they developed a striking white coat that helps them to reflect the scorching desert sun. The addax are also known as the screwhorn antelopes, and they earned their nickname well. Their horns are long, between 3 feet and 4 feet, and twisted like the thread of a screw. They're one of the few species in the world where both the buck and doe have horns of the same size. Addax also possesses wide, flat hooves, slightly upturned, helping prevent them from sinking into all that soft desert sand. Jackson chameleons. That's right, lizards. Surprised? Were you expecting a cow or antelope again? Not only are they true horns, just like the ones on the addax, made out of bone and using them for the same purpose, jousting with other males and pushing them out of treetops. Those 3 horns on their head make this species look a little like a tiny triceratops. That's why they're also known as the 3-horned chameleon. Like other chameleons, their tongue is usually 1.5 times the chameleon's body length. That'd be like a 6-foot person having a tongue that's 9 feet long. Though originally native to the mountains of East Africa, the Jackson's chameleon can now be found all over the islands of Hawaii. You know a caterpillar's tough looking when even chickens don't want to take a nibble. They usually eat anything. Despite this prickly caterpillar's menacing appearance, the hickory-horned devil caterpillar is entirely harmless. The caterpillar molts 4 times before turning into its terrifying final form, a beast covered with black spines that run down the length of its body. Its head is adorned with long orange horns, tipped with black. To top all of this off, it's enormous for a caterpillar, the largest in North America. Before it transitions to its adult phase, it can reach the size of a hot dog. It resembles a terrifying green dragon more than an insect. Surprisingly, they're not poisonous in any way. The spines aren't very sharp and even feel flexible to the touch, if you're not too scared off by its appearance. Horned guans, great hornbills, and horned puffins all have very impressive headwear that would make most other birds extremely jealous. But no bird wears head ornamentation that looks more like a horn than the cassowary. The casque, as it's called, is made of a sponge-like material and covered with a thick layer of keratin. That's the same material that human hair is made from. The end result is a formation on the head that kind of resembles a helmet. Although it may seem quite sturdy and robust, the horn can be squeezed in the middle fairly easily, but I wouldn't recommend it. Native to the tropical forests of Southeast Asia and Australia, cassowaries can stand over 6 feet tall and weigh as much as 130 pounds. While they do have beautiful colors and look friendly, they'll have a mean streak if cornered. Rhinoceros beetles get all the attention with their horn-like projections that can be found on the males' heads. They're ridiculously strong, with adults of some species able to lift objects 850 times their weight. Their use of this extreme strength is a bit less exciting though, with most species using it to dig into leaf litter and soil to escape or hide. Their horns help them push all the dirt and debris out of the way. But the most beautiful and interesting horn belongs to the rainbow scarab's male. This species is easily identified by its metallic appearance and the large horn that grows out from its head and curves back over itself. These might even be so amazing that they rival the rhinos they were named after. Fancy horns are great for display purposes, but you know that an animal with 15 sticking out of its face has some serious defenses. Like the horned dinosaur Cosmoceratops, which lived approximately 76 million years ago in the late Cretaceous period. It had horns all over its face. 10 spiky horns lined the edge of its bony frill, protecting its vulnerable neck. There were long, sharp horns above each eye, a horn extending from each cheek, and a single blunt horn on its nose. A lot more than its famous cousin, the Triceratops, that's for sure. The unicorn of the sea, a pale-colored porpoise called the narwhal, is found in Arctic coastal waters and rivers. They come from the same sea mammal family as dolphins and killer whales, but their horn really makes them stand out. This unique horn, or oversized tooth, can reach 10 feet long. The sword-like spiral tusk grows right out of the narwhal's lip, and scientists aren't sure of the tusk's purpose. Some believe it's used to impress females, like having a top hat or a fancy haircut. It might even be to battle rival males. It looks like it might hurt a little too. Females can sometimes grow a small tusk of their own, but it doesn't ever become as large as the males. Being part of the boxfish family, which includes the infamous pufferfish, the longhorn cowfish is very recognizable for its long horns. They protrude from the front of its head, making the fish look weirdly similar to a cow. It's believed to have evolved these to make it just that little bit more difficult for predators to swallow, allowing a quick getaway. They'll even grow the horns back if they lose them too. Their unique method of swimming causes them to look as if they're just hovering in the water. It might not be the best style though, because cowfish are such slow swimmers that they're easily caught by hand. But be careful. Like the pufferfish, when stressed, this species can produce poison in their skin as well. It's hard to imagine a 200-pound animal with enormous horns nimbly climbing up a tree, but that's precisely what the markhor does. As one of the largest species of wild goat found across Western and Central Asia, it's their impressive horns that get all the attention. They grow to about 5 feet long. The horns spiral out from the goat's skull like corkscrews. The goats use these to dig for roots and other food and remove bark from trees. Males will also use their long horns to win a female during the mating season by butting heads with other males that they encounter. Golden eagles have even been reported trying to catch young markhor, only to have the mothers using their horns to scare away the winged predators. You can find this next creature in the mountainous regions known as the European Alps. The Capra ibex, also called the alpine ibex, has its own imposing set of horns. The male ibex has remarkably strong, curling horns, growing to lengths of 40 inches, while the females have shorter and thinner horns, measuring at about 13 inches in length. During mating season, the male uses their large horns to headbutt rivals for territory. And with such defensive horns, predators like wolves, bears, and lynxes have a very clear warning to get out of the way. Sensing danger around them, they'll raise up on their powerful hind legs while pointing their horns toward the would-be ibex eater. When you hear the word horn, one animal should immediately come to mind, and it's a big one. The largest of the rhino family, the white rhino, has two distinctive horns, one longer front horn and a smaller back one. The bigger horn can grow up to 59 inches. These amazing horns are made from a protein called keratin, the same thing that makes scales, hair, nails, claws, and hooves. Traveling in groups, or crashes as they prefer to be called, these 5,500-pound animals can somehow run up to 25 miles an hour. If you want an idea of what that would be like, imagine 300 bowling balls rolling towards you at that speed. The Saola first made its presence known to the world in May 1992, with researchers and scientists finding them way up into the mountains of Vietnam and Laos. Since then, it's only been photographed a handful of times. Little is known about these creatures. That's why they have the nickname of Asian unicorn, only because they're such a rare sight to see. Saola have striking white markings on their face, but they're more recognized by the two 20-inch parallel horns that shoot up from their crown. These have razor-sharp ends and are found on both the males and females of the species. They might look like an antelope or a deer, but they're actually more closely related to cattle. Unicorn fish aren't as magical as the mythical horse, well, that we're aware of anyway. These interesting fish have a frontal horn, almost like a long spike, protruding from their forehead. The horn-like appendage begins growing between their eyes when they reach about 5 inches in length, and tend to be slightly more prominent on males. Biologists are still unsure what the purpose of the horn is, as it isn't used for defense. For that, the unicorn fish uses its sharp tail spines against other males and predators. While you might never see the fabled horse with a horn on its forehead, keep an eye out on your next dive, and you just might see a herd of these unicorns cleaning up the area.
So imagine stumbling upon a creature so huge it could dwarf even the largest known marine animals today. Scientists discovered the fossils of this beast on England's coast and believe it once ruled the waves. The new species was named Ichthyotitan severnensis, but thankfully for me, scientists nicknamed it the little stock monster. Its estimated lengths range from 72 to 85 feet long, almost as big as a blue whale. Megalodon can't even compare to this. It was only about 60 feet long. And what's crazy is that this fossil we found wasn't even an adult, so who knows what their actual size was. The first piece of the little stock monster was discovered in 2016 in the Westbury Formation. Researchers found a 3-foot-long jaw part that belonged to an unknown species. For years, this single fragment had been driving them crazy because they had no idea what that animal was. Then, in 2020, a miracle happened, of sorts. A father with his 11-year-old daughter found the second piece of fossil on a beach. This discovery led to more findings. Finally, in 2022, the last piece of the literal jaw puzzle was found, buried along the Somerset coast. This leviathan belonged to the Shastasaurid family. Both the little stock monster and other Shastasaurids had one ancestor, so all the species in this family are super similar to each other. For example, all of them were the largest marine reptiles ever to exist. Although our little stock monster is much larger, most Shastasaurids could grow up to only 69 feet long, and it's possible that the little stock monster, when fully grown, would reach up to 100 feet or even more. Both of their bodies were just perfect for cruising the ancient seas. These marine titans were elegant and slender, with an elongated snout. Other marine animals at the time were smaller and looked more like dolphins. Shastasaurids had long paddle-like limbs adapted for efficient swimming. Their skulls show large eye sockets, which means they had excellent vision. If you were in the ocean, no matter what time it was or where you were hiding, they could spot you. They were also incredibly fast and could dive to great depths. Of course, all these things made them the most terrifying predators. They ate pretty much everything, including fish and squid, and you if you were there. They probably captured their prey like whales, opened their huge mouths, and literally sucked the fish in. What made the little stock monster especially scary is that it wins in the jaw competition. For other Shastasaurids, their jaws were a bit weaker, so they hunted smaller fish, kind of like today's orcas. They required vast amounts of food. This shows us that the Earth's Triassic oceans had rich, productive food webs. But the Lilstock monster has this unique feature. It could open its jaw almost 90 degrees upwards. It also had tons of powerful muscles around. Its jaws were horrifyingly strong. So while others were hunting some squids, the Lilstock monster probably hunted large fish and even other marine reptiles. Fossils of Shastosaurids have been found everywhere in the world, from North America to Asia. This means that these creatures dominated and terrorized the oceans for millions of years, although even they weren't completely safe from scavengers. And that's exactly why we struggle to find these fossils now. Scavengers didn't leave any remnants of them. So, while we have some fossils of this marine family, they mostly remain a mystery for us. They lived in the oceans about 200 million years ago, in the late Triassic period. The Earth looked completely different back then. All continents were united in one Pangaea, a huge landmass. Some parts of this supercontinent were covered with lush conifer forests, while others were dry deserts and open prairies. It was before the famous Jurassic period, but there were already first pterosaurs and amphibians. It seems like those monsters were crazy resilient. The Triassic period was super unstable, but they survived through many changes in the environment. Well, until the last one. The Triassic extinction came out of nowhere. It was one of the Earth's big 5 extinction events. It wiped out almost all species on the planet, including these leviathans. It's still not clear what happened exactly, but it looks like there was a huge tectonic activity. Volcanoes in the oceans were going crazy back then. These massive volcanic eruptions have probably altered the climate and ocean chemistry, leading to the extinction of many species. Scientists have a theory that it might have happened because there was a rain of comets flying to our planet from the Oort cloud. This likely happens about every 200 million years or so. I wasn't around then, so I'm just guessing here. In any case, after the extinction, the Earth took some time to recover. Then it entered the famous Jurassic period. More terrifying sea monsters were on the way. One of them left us a colossal skull. This fossil is 150 million years old, and it also belonged to a sea beast from Jurassic times. They called it the Sea Rex. The name is very fitting. This monster could have broken a car in half with one bite. It was also discovered accidentally. A fossil enthusiast was walking along the Jurassic coast. This place is famous for having tons of ancient fossils, all because of the erosion and stormy weather. Typically, people find small spiral fossils here. However, this time, he discovered a giant sea monster fossil. Excited, he contacted scientists. They arrived at the spot right away and then had to carefully climb down a cliff to search for the rest of the skull. This fragment alone is 6.5 feet long. Turns out, it's a newly discovered species of pliosaurs, giant predators of the ancient seas. Pliosaurs were among the largest marine predators ever. Some of them grew up to 40 feet long. They used their huge teeth to snatch and devour prey, including other reptiles. Well, at least those creatures are far gone. But what about the horrors that still live in our oceans? Recently, biologists discovered the world's longest animal, the one that's still alive to this day. They found it off Australia's coast, on the Gascoyne coast, a very mysterious and unexplored place. There, underwater vehicles stumbled upon a frightening 150-foot-long siphonophore. That's twice as long as many blue whales and 3 times as long as a humpback whale. Doesn't it kind of look like one of those toy string worms? But this creature isn't friendly at all. It's a string-like deep-sea predator. What's even more scary is that this isn't actually one creature. It's a colony of small clones working together as one. Basically, collective consciousness. Ooh, Borg. Together, they stretch out like a single long string in the water. This creature might be the longest siphonophore ever found, and it was discovered at a depth of around 2,000 feet. Siphonophores, similar to jellyfish, capture their prey by dangling stinging tentacles in the water. When their tentacles touch small crustaceans and fish, they get paralyzed, and then they're reeled up to the colony's body. Expeditions to Western Australia's underwater canyons were definitely worth it. Together with that siphonophore, scientists have discovered up to 30 potential new marine species. Among them were a new octopus or squid, a long-tailed sea cucumber, glass sponges, and giant hyroids, colonies of animals resembling upside-down jellyfish. None of them have been seen before in Australia. But most of them weren't as scary as the one that was recently discovered in the Gulf of Mexico. This creature is straight out of a sci-fi thriller, a 26-foot-long mangapinna squid, or bigfin squid. It was discovered near an offshore oil rig at a depth of more than 7,800 feet. It has incredibly long elastic tentacles, which can be 15 to 20 times longer than its body. It holds them at right angles to its body, making it look even creepier, almost as if it has elbows. And yes, it's another deep-sea predator. These 10 tentacles probably help the squid trap their prey and drag it onto the seafloor. We barely know anything about this extraterrestrial-looking creature because they're very hard to find and study. And if you think their tentacles are awful, just check out these creatures with 20 arms. This thing looks like a facehugger. This new species is lurking in the frozen depths of Antarctica. Experts were searching for cryptic sea animals known as Promachocrinis, or Antarctic feather stars. They're kind of similar to starfish and sea cucumbers, but have an otherworldly appearance and can live up to 6,500 feet below the surface. It's called the Antarctic strawberry feather star. Despite its pretty name, its appearance is anything but cute. It has a bizarre strawberry-like body from which 20 spindly arms branch off. Its coloring ranges from purple to dark reddish, and the arms all have different lengths and thickness. Who knows how many more of such scary creatures we'll discover in the future?